Hey everybody, I'm Ren Smitty, and with my partner...
What up, y'all? I'm Jay. Nice to have you guys today.
And this is the Black Belt Factory, the martial arts podcast you listen to while you train.
That's absolutely fantastic.
Shut the fuck up. Today's topic, we are just going to do an introduction, and we're going to be talking about the main topic of Mc Dojos. So, a little bit about ourselves. Jay, why don't you start?
Oh, man. I have extensive experience in Mc Dojos, my friend. Right now, I'm a second-degree black belt under the WTF.
Wow!
And let's just say that the school I started with it would be considered a Mc Dojo, whatever you may call it, you know.
We both came from the same places. Both of them turned out to be pretty
absolutely
shit.
Fantastic. Oh, sorry.
Absolutely fantastic. A lot, like, when you're finding a dojo or dojang, that's the hardest part. A majority, at least 90% in United States and Canada, are at least Mc Dojos.
Yeah, there's a lot of garbage out there, you know. And I think it all stems from the fact that business owners, they have to grow their business, they have to sucker in gullible parents who don't know any better. So they offer things like Little Dragons programs where they spend more time doing games like obstacle courses than actually learning respect and things like that. But, you know, in keeping the progress of the kids slow, what happens is they just keep coming back, right? They keep coming back for more. And they just spend years and years there and they don't really learn much, you know? So.
Oh, let's talk about those Mc Dojo names real quick. What is it in? It is in Canada mostly, where there's the Little Dragons program, and then everyone claims they were the first.
That's a beautiful topic, because no matter where you go, or it's called Little Dragons, Mighty Dragons, Tiny Tigers.
Tiny Tigers?
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Tiny Tigers with tiny toes.
Mostly, alright.
Okay.
Mostly, you know, like Muay Thai programs, they have, that's what they're called, Tiny Tigers. And it is just the absolute biggest waste of time, because every school you go to, the owner will say, "Oh yeah, I pioneered that in my city or my town." And
I was the first!
Yeah, everybody's the first, right? And it's ridiculous. It's
I think Little Dragons, Mighty Dragons, it's the biggest scam.
Of course, because you basically, for the parents that use that service, there's very few actual qualified instructors to teach that.
Oh, yeah.
And handle children, right? So usually you get like some junior black belt that just wants to play obstacle course or something, and your kids actually get worse, if anything. You know, I've seen a steady decrease in their performance, if anything.
I think when it comes to those programs, I don't think children that age, they should be put in daycare and not into a martial arts program.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you a little bit. Oh, I mean, you can't have a podcast if you're
my fucking co-host and you disagree.
Wait.
Could fire you.
Could fire you. Anyways, so I think little kids like that really need to have special attention, like one-on-one attention. If that's the incentive, you know, there are the rarest exceptions. Certain schools do have successful programs like that and good teachers and qualified teachers, but the problem is they're few and far in between, and they're really hard to find, because even if a place is really bad, the parents that don't know, they will go on like Facebook or Google reviews or somewhere like that and write a really positive review and kind of mislead other parents, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's saying, you know, you get caught in these like 6-month contracts.
Talking about reviews, martial arts places that force you to leave a review. That happened at our first location.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest signs of a Mc Dojo. If like your master, your sir, your sensei, your crew, whatever it may be, you know, says, "Oh, you know, I need you
your money goblin.
to leave a positive review where you have to lie through your teeth."
What did I say on my first place? I'm like, this place is my life now. I became an 18th degree black belt in only a month.
Well, you know, to be honest, you know, once you write those reviews, usually in a state of where you're like really young and impressionable.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you really do think that person is really great, you know?
You're looking up to an idol who's only gonna fuck you in the end.
Yeah, I mean,
we were fucked.
from personal experience, I've had it happen to me a couple times, But that's a topic for another time.
Oh, part 2, my peeps.
My dudes.
But when you go into martial arts,
I think we should backtrack to that Little Dragons program.
Little Dragons. Yeah, I don't know. It's like that was my least favorite class to teach. Easy.
100%. I think the way to do that, to handle that program, is to have like a class limit. Like no more than 5 or 10 kids. I think, and with like a lot of help. And I think that's where whoever's leading the class should make use of their resources and use the other senior belts or the other more experienced people.
Oh, absolutely. And when I looking back, and nothing went right, and that's the problem. I would walk into class, and you're just miserable.
Yeah.
You have to put on the smile, and you're like, I love little kids.
And
it's
as an older person, that's like the worst feeling. And kids can smell that, kids can smell your emotions like dogs smell fear.
I think if you're gonna tell Mc Dojo, check if they have a little kids program. Some actual dojos might, but the best way to tell is that the instructor's leading those classes.
Yes, and this is gonna come off as really sexist. Right now, I'm about to make a really controversial statement, so please don't crucify me.
My name's Jay. I don't like women.
Whoa, I've never said that. But if the lead instructor is like a middle-aged mom, it's a problem. Because,
but bro,
basically,
she got her blue belt in 5 months.
No, because basically, just because she's good at handling kids, doesn't mean she's good at doing martial arts or even qualified to teach martial arts. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of females that are incredible, much better than me. I'm 100%. I'm gonna admit that,
I ain't letting no woman push me around.
I mean, I've seen it before, bro. I've seen it before.
My gender is C, so
I identify as
as a roundhouse kick.
It's 2017, man. Your style can be whatever you want, man. I think the worst. Like the karate people are really bad. I've had experience with both sport karate and like the WTF Taekwondo, but I think the sport karate has it the worst. I think they have the least to offer for a kid.
Sport karate, I had the least amount of experience in it. I was just kind of floating around in those classes. What my opinion is on it.
Talk about the sport karate's take on handling children or.
Well, I look at sport like the place we went to. It was like you have to be super friendly. You can't give the kid a harsher critique, which is like, okay, whatever. I'll work by your rules. But if I can't look at a kid and tell them like, hey, can you stop making a noise? Perhaps the instructors would flip out and be like, hey, you're being mean to the children.
I think,
we couldn't even cross our arms at that place.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the idea of, like if you're in a very traditional Japanese dojo, because karate is very strict. But you got to understand, this is sport karate, and this is, there isn't an Asian person within 100 meters of the vicinity.
Fucking motorcycle.
And we're filming outside, so it's all good.
Yeah, we're freezing our asses off to give you fucking ass. What the fuck?
I am toasty, my boy.
Yeah, he is toasty.
Anyways,
he came in layers.
I'm an onion. What can I say? Anyways, but what happens is, it's like, this is sport karate. These are the same people that throw mouth guards at each other at tournaments and low blow you intentionally. Like, yeah, sport karate and point fighting. Of course, there's respect and discipline, things like that, but. Really, it's not the discipline that comes with traditional karate.
Would you say sport karate is the soccer of martial arts?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that because it does take skill and it obviously takes conditioning and whatever. But in terms of discipline, it's not for sport karate, in my opinion, right? Because it's all Westerners. Trying to be Japanese, where we're not Japanese. That's not our culture. In Japan, you see some of those videos of those 6-7-year-old kids practicing their katas all by themselves. I mean, and those 6-year-olds look better than most black belts here. realistically speaking, right? Especially at a Mc Dojo. So, and the fact that, oh, you can't cross your arms because it's a disrespectful gesture. You know, these same instructors that, you know, they're taking like 5 minutes at a time from the class to fix their hair or pick their nose or whatever it is, man.
We had our first instructor, he wouldn't even come into the classes. He would sit outside and eat the baked potato. He would go to this man went to Wendy's. We're not sponsored, but he would go to Wendy's.
By the way, Wendy's,
if you want to hit us up.
if you want to hit us up.
This man went to Wendy's before every class, and he'd get like a baked potato. Like,
Yeah,
he was eating his people.
So this guy would, with his potato, he would like peek in to see if we were doing a good job.
It was the
and of course we never were.
we were,
You know, we were trying, but he'd come in, you know, he like mumbles, he'd mumble something really like uncohesive, like a command, and then you would try to do whatever he is set to do, and of course you wouldn't get it right, so you'd get more mad. It was a vicious cycle, you know?
Can we refer to this instructor as Master Potato?
Master Potato it is, that's perfect, yo.
What was it? It was our last day of teaching, and that was easily one of the worst with Master Potato. Hold up! The topic is Mc Dojos.
I thought it was a topic was Little Dragons.
I don't fine, Little Dragons. Like, oh yeah, let's stay on topic. All right, Little Dragons. I remember the noodle game where you would walk around in a circle and hit kids with a noodle, be like, "Hi, block," and then you go like they get hit in the head. Fucking bitches can't do anything right.
The problem with, you know, if I had a kid, okay, I would start my kid in something really simple in martial arts. Ideally, if you are a parent and you're a martial artist and you want your child to start martial arts, my biggest recommendation will be something like gymnastics, will be something like boxing, something very simple. Like, obviously there's no sparring, but you learn how to throw basic punches, how to keep your hands up, something very basic.
I think the best thing to put your kid into at a young age, we're talking like 6, 5, 4 basically.
Right.
I'm talking about like swimming.
Swimming is wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, anytime you have a kid that is naturally physically capable of performing things, it's fantastic. You know, as an instructor, you walk into a Little Dragons class and, you know, the biggest problem is finding out what to do in that class, right? Because there's so many ranges of different kids, right? There's kids that are morbidly obese and can't do much, and there's kids who are special needs.
Oh.
And then there's kids that are, you know, like very good and are, you know, they listen really well, and they have some swimming before gymnastics, so they have good ability, right?
I used to do gymnastics.
So it's hard to you know, it's hard to mix those groups and do something that will challenge each of them, right?
Well, I remember from my first Little Dragons, I started off in Mr. Potato's school, and
so did I.
Oh yeah.
But
I started teaching first.
Yeah, Ren started teaching before me.
And there was Mr. Potato's wife ran the what's
Mrs. Potato.
It's Mrs. Potato Head.
Oh no.
She ran the, what was it called? Little Dragons?
So remember earlier, just like a couple minutes ago, I mentioned if whoever's running the Little Dragons is a middle-aged mom. That's who we're talking about. That's like, exactly it, man.
When it came to her classes, I remember this place was ran not by those two. Like, they would own the place, but they would employ a bunch of younger instructors. It was like, man. You would walk in and it'd be like, "Hey, yo, welcome to the black belt class with my 10-year-olds and the obese guy."
That's a good story for another day. Let's just, I'm down to just tell. We got bomb stories, y'all. We got bomb stories.
But I remember.
And this is the first place. So, Ren kind of like,
I got boffed.
He did most of his experience at that first place, and then he wandered with me to this sport karate place. Where I did, you know, like sport karate. They offered a bunch of stuff, which is like another sign of a Mc Dojo that we'll touch on later. You know, they had Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, which I took quite a liking to the Jiu-Jitsu, and I found that, you know, the Jiu-Jitsu Kids program was way better than the sport karate, Little Dragons, Taekwondo. Yeah, much better.
Well, I distinctly remember. What was I talking about? Oh, right, Potato Head's wife, and
Beautiful.
what were the classes like? The think about the layout of this studio, okay? There was like 3 separate places, but they were like not connected. So you would have to like run through a hallway to get to the second place.
So imagine like a 2-story like a 2-story building, right? Like a 2-story school, and all these 3 rooms were like way apart from each other.
Oh yeah. And I remember we started off in the. I was there before they got the second and third studios.
Yeah.
So I was on the first one, and I remember distinctly, in those classes, it would be like, "Oh, thank you for the gloves," and my boy got me.
I got you, B.
It was in the classes, and what all were we doing? It was like, they weren't awful. They weren't as awful as they became later, because it was just me and Potato's wife.
Most places, to be honest, they start with really good intentions.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, to be real, really good intentions get you pretty far in martial arts.
It was like,
But you kind of reach a peak on your intentions, and then things like, you know, like the greed of money,
I don't think
convenience.
Mr. Potato wanted to mess people over to start.
I don't think so. I think everybody that starts a school
It just
has to have some level of passion, because, you know, starting a martial arts school, you know, like from what we've experienced, it's not an easy ordeal, man. It's very hard, right?
like I
But
didn't know
the problem is, the problem is once you start making money, and that's why Little Dragon classes are so popular, because they make money, you know.
Yeah, it's easy to get little kids suckered. You put a sign up that says, "We will take care of your kids for an hour," and the mom's like, "I can drink wine for an hour."
Yeah, in a kindergarten school, right? You talk to whoever the teacher is. You put a little flyer, and you will just see moms flock to your school like it ain't no thing. Because you know what? Moms talk to other moms, right? In the same community. So even if they had like an experience, they still think it's like the greatest thing ever, because they don't have to talk or deal with their little demon, you know, for an hour or 2. Because some places will offer back-to-back classes, or 1 class in the morning or 1 class in the afternoon. So, and they drop them early, pick them up late. You know, it adds up. You know.
Progressing with Mr. Potato, it started with the first deal. Okay, classes were like out of 10, 4. All right, they were like, that's
That's below
that's
average.
good for a Mc Dojo.
That's true.
Like a 4 out of 10.
You have to when you're.
That's almost a passing
You know,
grade.
but some people run, like, they don't really have a choice, right? Like their location or whatever. So if you know that you might send your kid to a Mc Dojo, just know what to expect.
Here's what bothered me. It was like, there was our studio, and then there was one I don't even think you knew about. It was behind like a Taco Bell, not sponsored, and it was like a karate studio, and it was like such a small place, and it just had advertised. It's like, just
was that across the?
it was just across the road.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was like, I think
I
they
was never
held
there,
the
though.
same programs. They were so small and not as noticeable as this place. And this place that we went to firstly was not easy to find.
Yeah.
They had a sign out front, but you had to go down like a flight of stairs into a basement. And even then, like,
Well, it was part of a sports club. We're not gonna say the name, and we're not gonna say the name of the owner
out of
because
respect.
out of respect for them,
And we don't want to get sued.
and you know, just like we already crossed that bridge. You know, it wasn't the easiest bridge to cross, but we already crossed it, right? So we're just gonna be adults about it, or I'm gonna be an adult about it, young adult about it.
Oh yeah, just look at say my name. You
Oh.
fucking bitch.
You can edit that out.
And okay, but they bought the second studio, so it was still in the same complex. They just had studio number 2, and once they got that second studio, I think all hell started to break loose because it was converted. It was a dance studio. It was a racquetball court first, turned into a dance studio, turned into a martial arts place.
Can you imagine, y'all? A
It's like
racquetball.
That echo.
What even is that? Like, who even?
I'll play tennis against myself.
Who says who? You gotta be a pretty lonely man that you can't even practice like Poomsae by your own. You have to play a racquetball.
All right, but what happened was I got like they started teaching at that in that studio, and she brought in 2 new people. She
Right.
brought in dumb blonde bitch and who was the other man? His name was, we'll call him Ugly White Boy. So
Was this who I think it is?
yeah,
Or was he a little bit chubby at the time?
he was not chubby.
Who's this?
You know.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
So we're talking about somebody who not the most stable individual.
I threw him out of a class once.
Well, yeah, of
I
course.
got mad.
That's another thing is you know, if you're leading a Little Dragons class, okay, and you're catching any lip from any helper, terminate them.
Oh, but
instantly.
There was that one story.
Be gone.
And it was like ugly white bitch and ugly white boy. Okay, they were fooling around at the end of class. Okay, kids are meditating and they're like
Fooling around.
Woo! They were like pushing each other and stuff. And then one of them threw a spinning back kick. Awful spinning back kick. Let's say that at the start, and it almost hit Mr. Potato Head's wife. And I've never seen so much anger in my life. She's like, guys, I have had enough of you. Get out of my dojo.
Well, Dojang. Well, to be honest, if you were walking and you almost got your head taken off by a really sloppy spinning kick, I would be
death by
upset.
The worst spinning back.
You don't want to die by that. Oh my god.
Mr. Potato Head's wife was an honest girl. Died from.
Jeez, man. So, what ended up happening to that? Mrs. Potato Head ended up giving the program over to a bunch of young instructors.
They gave it to one of our friends first, but he left.
So I had a friend.
Pretty good.
I had a friend there. I actually made a lot of good friends there. About 3 people that I really cared about at the time.
I'll give Mc Dojos credit for this. If you go to one, you might make some friends.
Of course,
might make some friends.
But you'll make friends anywhere.
Oh!
Edit that out. There's a lot of editing. Okay. Anyways, but of course, you'll make a lot of friends anywhere, right? You'll make friends at a train station if you're sociable enough, right?
Oh yeah.
But what's great about martial arts, regardless where you go, is that you're forced to be together. You know what I mean? And you're forced to work with a partner. And for the right people, it's a really good way to meet somebody. Don't get me wrong. If you go to a place, even if it's a McDojo, and you go there to fucking chit chat, get out. It's very simple. So
I want to add this. A lot of people.
Little dragons are the best.
At oh yeah, little dragons are the best.
Yeah, come get this. Can
I get my
free class? It comes with a free uniform.
I get my junior black belt, and then when I get into regular classes, I get the skip to fucking green belt.
But the belt will cost you $200. So you get a free.
Free quotation marks. You get
free uniform that costs $50. It really be like that, y'all. Don't even think we're joking about that. I know. I've seen a lot of retail people. I've mostly worked as an instructor. I have worked as a retail person. And
I've only done
these contracts that you sign, read them, because they will include something like, here's a free uniform, but your belt will cost you $20.
Oh man, I was so.
That belt will cost you $3.
I remember I got Mr. Potato Head give me a contract at one point. Start teaching or something. I don't even think I read that. I was like so young that I'm just like, I trust him.
That's what these places do. What these places do is they want to farm employees, right?
Hence, a black belt.
So you get this is the evolution. Like, this is Pokemon right now, okay?
Okay.
So you got a little dragon, okay? When you level up to level 16, okay, it evolves into like a basic child student, right? And then when you level up again, it becomes a junior black belt.
We're not saying.
And then when you mega evolve, it becomes a junior black belt instructor, and that's like the pinnacle of like the cancer.
How I imagine it is, they're not like good Pokemon as well.
It's like some.
You evolve from a Wurmple into a slightly better Wurmple. It's like I turned from dirt into fucking soil. It's like wow.
Into manure, dude. I'm fertilized. So it's crazy. I mean, the little dragon programs, or the I'm just gonna call it the toddler programs. They're just crazy, man.
Tiny tots.
Please, parents, I wanted to do this podcast idea just to drop some raw knowledge, because there's a lot of fake news on martial arts, especially on the internet, man. You see these forums that are supposed to be for discussions, you serious martial artists. The first thing you'll see is advertisements for kids' classes. You know what I mean? That to me is disgusting, man.
What? I remember when I was starting, they were like, "I want you to hand out these flyers at your school," and it's like, "Hold up."
Yeah. I handed flyers out in my neighborhood, bro.
What was
right before one of my black belt tests.
And
there's a thing in our city where you basically vote for like a top school, like a most popular school. It's like an award, right?
Our first studio got out of pity mostly.
Well,
And
yeah.
then-
I mean, there was a situation that happened,
Let's
and
not
a lot of
bring it
people.
up.
Yeah, we're not gonna bring it up, but a lot of people felt sympathy, rightly so.
Some bitch died.
But it's like, to me, we recently reunited with an old instructor of ours,
Oh yeah.
and
Even
some guy didn't show up to training today, and he basically,
he just fired him.
yeah, well,
He
he
got rid of him.
The guy wasn't there to defend himself, but his friend was, and his friend was, oh, he's going through a lot, and basically our instructor says, did I know that? He didn't tell me that. He didn't communicate with me. He communicated with you, but not to me. I don't need him. I don't need to talk to him. He's gone, right?
Yeah.
And I really respect that mentality, right? Because it's a no bullshit. It's no bullshit tolerated, right? Because he could have stopped that situation, and he probably can still, if he talks to him. I almost said his name just now.
Yeah.
If he still talks to him, he probably will be fine. He probably might get that job back, right? But the matter of the fact is, it's no bullshit. You have an entire week. I don't care what you do. If you're on the toilet, man, pop up on your phone. Let this man know. You already know the standards, right?
I would always tell when I wasn't going into work, except I think it was one time where I messed up.
Of course.
Yeah, and people will make mistakes, and
that's my thing too.
I was super new to that school as well, and I messed up because I was thinking they're doing the testing, and they're not starting until a certain time. I don't think they're doing a class that day. I should have catched up with my instructor.
I'll be honest. I have missed a couple classes or lessons or whatever, but it's usually because somebody changes the schedule.
Oh yeah,
and nobody tells me, or something happens where somebody dropped the ball and maybe I was supposed to pick it up, but I wasn't aware because that person didn't tell me, and then the whole blame gets put on me.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm not gonna mention the last place I was at either, but that's why I left the other place too. One of the reasons, because there was one little incident that I made up at my own time. Like I took money. Check this, y'all. I missed a private lesson, okay, with a kid. Now,
story time.
It was my first time. I had been working there for about a year and a half, 2 years. So it's a lot of days, right? And I was doing a lot. Let's just say I was doing a lot. I was doing too much. I provided too much for these people. But I missed one time, okay? All hell broke loose. It was ridiculous. The owner was just ridiculous on me. Knowing damn well the other instructors there, the chance of them showing up was a 50-50, bro. But for me, I missed that one time. So what I did was, I refunded the parents for that membership. Not membership, for the lesson or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is
respectable.
This actually ties in really well because it was a little kid. He was like 6, right? I paid for a lesson, his lesson, with my own money. So I taught the lesson. I paid to basically work that hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because I felt bad. I didn't have to. But little things like that, in a Mc Dojo, Mc Dojang, they don't go appreciated. That's another important key.
They didn't inform you about the lesson.
Oh no, they didn't. They didn't. It was all last second. It was like, hey, by the way, you have a lesson today. It's in 2 hours. And, first of all, when he said that, it said 2 hours, I wasn't even with my phone. So by the time I saw that, it wasn't like 40 minutes and I was nowhere near there. So it's like, I'm done. It's like, I can't do anything, right?
It was, back on the topic of Little Dragons.
Oh, yes.
This is part 3 of the 3 studios. So they had both two studios were downstairs, and they had an upstairs one, okay? This one was kind of nice.
I feel like in the future, we need to work on our storytelling. But you know what? It's the first episode, so y'all...
We get some free room.
Y'all have to bear with us, But
we'll,
we're just here to drop some facts.
We'll get a proper space. I don't want to record in the cold. It's becoming winter.
You gotta wait until it actually gets cold, B.
Like, what was it? It was first starting in the 3rd dojo. I remember I was doing a Little Dragons class. They started a new one basically. It was like this is the new Little Dragons class, and there were only like 2 kids in that class, okay? And the person, Mrs. Potato Head, texted me. She's like, "Listen, I don't want you to do anything serious in that class. Just want you to have fun." And I'm like, "Okay, I can do that."
That's such a trap.
Now, what happened was, it was me and, we'll call him Motorcycle.
I like that.
All right. So me and Motorcycle, I taught the class. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have some fun. Okay, I don't really care at this point about little dragons. I know what the parents expect. I'm gonna give that to them basically. So I set up.
Which is the professional way to go about it. Yeah.
I set up an obstacle course, but at the same time, now listen, I was adding elements to it. I was like, okay, what you're gonna do is you call through a tube, all right, and then we're going to critique your kicks basically, okay? Which is like, okay, the kids have a little bit of fun. Parents like that. They get to do kicks. I get to teach them. And then it was at the end of class. They were doing meditation, okay? So they sat down, eyes
Powerful
closed.
meditation.
Meditation.
Trying to, y'all, if any of y'all watch Dragon Ball Z,
These people are jeering.
and y'all see Piccolo, like a Piccolo be floating and shit, yeah, it's actually Piccolo. And there were like a lot of Gohans in that class.
What happened was...
Sorry, bro.
Yeah, it's whatever. Now, what happened was, at the end of, the person I was with, meditation, I like to keep it quiet. That's me. Okay? I don't want to be sitting there and be like, you guys are the most powerful people I've ever seen while they're meditating. And it's like, no, stop that, okay? Let me finish real quick.
Yes.
And then, like, at the end of class, I turn my back and I'm like, okay, come over here. And I motion with my hand, like, come here, please. I want to talk to you. I just...
So, did you motion your hand? Make it clear because they can't see you, right? Your palm facing up or facing down?
Facing up.
Now,
which is like, come here.
Well, facing up is a disrespectful way of saying come here.
But it's just like with the fingers, just like...
Right, like, but you know what I mean? Like, so that's what the basis of the problem is.
But it's like,
not
okay.
that it's a very noticeable one.
It was like...
Again, we're not in fucking Japan. We're not in fucking Korea. You know,
we're somewhere in the United States or Canada right now.
The culture's different. You know what I mean?
It's like,
so if I in Russia, if you lock eye contact for too long, you know that's an insult. And here, it's not. People need to get over it.
I've seen like teachers at schools even motion me with their hand. It's like, it's not disrespectful. You just keep.
I seen.
If I look away and I do that with my hand, it's like that's disrespectful.
Or if you do it like kind of an exaggerated motion.
I was just
hey,
like,
come here.
I was just like, hey, can you come here real quick? And I said it just like in that tone, like, can you come here real quick? I just want to talk to you.
That's.
And we're standing. Like, I just talked to him.
This is Little Ren, by the way.
I just tell him like, hey, yo, listen, I don't want you to be talking during that part, okay? I want the kids to try and focus on what they're doing rather than get this idea in their head, or it's like, and he's like, okay, yeah, whatever. And then the next day, I remember distinctly, I'm waiting for a bus. I just got home from school, and then I get a text message. It's like, what did you do that class? And I'm like, okay, hold up. She's like, what did you do? I had a flip phone at this time, okay, so I couldn't screenshot anything. Yeah. My first mistake. And she messages me.
For real quick, if you ever find yourself working for Mc Dojo, you expect that you're working for Mc Dojo, please take care of yourself financially and legally. These people are known to not pay on time and not pay regularly, so as much as you can, screenshot everything, record as much as you can.
Keep all of your paychecks.
And I'm saying that from experience. I'm saying that like from the most sincere part of my heart right now. I'm currently dealing with a situation where I didn't handle a situation like that properly, and now I'm paying for it. So don't make the same mistake as me. If you suspect any of that tomfoolery, act upon it.
I think when it comes to Mc Dojos, and alright, well, I have to finish my story real quick, okay? And I get the message.
It's a long story, bro.
Okay, what did you do that class? And I'm like, okay, listen, you told me, like, have fun. But I also, like, I did kicking, I did board breaking with them. And she went, what if the parents complained? He went in there for his kid to learn. And I'm like, okay, you can't tell me.
Can we get on the parents?
Yeah. Okay, wait a minute. I'm like, you can't tell me to have fun and to set up obstacle courses and stuff, and then be like, why did you do that? And it's like, you told me to. And then the next day, I get sat down in their office, and they go, hey, yo, listen.
Ren's cholesterol is rising. Like, he's powering up. Keep going, though.
They sit me down in their office, and they close the door, and I'm like, fuck. And then they go, okay, they brought that up about the class, and I'm like, if I say anything, they're just going to deny it and get even more mad. So I'm just playing it like as it comes at me. If they go,
do not argue with the owners.
Yeah,
of
don't.
You will never win, because even the people you think are your friends,
They have the
No.
power of autism on their side.
They have the power of mass hypnotism. That's what it is.
And-
They'll turn your friends against you, man.
He sits me down, okay, and he goes, "We also heard that you were extremely disrespectful to your co-instructor." And I go,
To his
How so?
motorcycle?
"Yeah, it's a Mr. Motorcycle."
To Mr. Motorcycle.
And they sit me down, and they're like, "You like turned your back to him, and you like threw your hand over, and you're like, get over here." And I'm like, "No, that is not what happened." And they go, what was it? It was like 2 weeks suspension, and I'm just, okay,
2 weeks suspension from the school?
2 weeks suspension from teaching.
Oh.
And I look at him, and it's just like, okay, whatever. I'm just not dealing with this right now. And I was young, and it like seeing like one of the people you look up to.
You didn't get to teach
For 2
the
weeks.
little dragons after that, did you?
I was allowed. I just
You
didn't want to.
You just chose not to. Of course, because
I don't
you had
think
that negative experience.
They didn't
Why
give me
would-
the opportunities as much. They were like, if you want to teach it, you can. I'm just like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
But-
Well, no, and because anything that could have happened, they would have went off you, and they would have been like, "Oh, see, you have a history of doing this."
Yeah, and it's like, I remember after that class, okay? After that whole
What time
incident.
were we at?
36. And I remember going up.
Let's go back quick.
I just went to a staircase, and I was just like, I was tearing up, because like, this is someone I look up to, and he just told me, "You are not welcome to
Yeah.
teach my kids." And it's like, I've seen you be more vile, be more offensive to students.
And this is a guy that
Mr. Potato.
Mr. Potato would routinely make people quit because he was so rude. Not in the sense of like, "Oh, he's a foreign master, and he's very tough." No, he wasn't very tough. He
super
was
tough.
he was some Westerner that, a little bit past the prime age, getting a little grumpy. And
If your
That's it.
Mc Dojo instructor is...
But I think we should get on the parents real quick.
Oh, parents are the worst. Parents should not be allowed to view martial arts.
Hold on. Oh my god. Hold on.
Straight up.
Now, I hold a more moderate opinion over Ren on this one.
the more moderate opinion.
I think if you're a very sensitive parent, okay,
Don't want.
know what you're getting into.
I sign my kids up for martial arts, but I don't want to see them get hurt. It's like, come on. they're gonna get hurt.
Listen, of course you don't want your kid to get brutalized, but there's a big difference between getting like intentionally hurt and then stuff happening because it's martial arts, right? So if you're a parent that complains a lot, understand that you're in somebody else's house. You have to play by their rules. You chose to be there,
Oh, I hate that.
right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I got brutalized for the house.
Listen. If you're going to somebody else's business, their house or work, you don't, especially if you're new, you don't really know how things work. Okay, just be real. You don't know how things work. Most adults, to be honest, most parents don't know how the world works, right? So, be respectful, even if you suspect it's a Mc Dojo, but just be moderate. Don't go off. Don't be the generic. The generic.
Catherine, can I see your manager,
Yeah,
please?
can I speak to your manager? Can I speak to your instructor?
I got in trouble a couple
on
of
now.
times because of parents. I remember one time
I haven't.
I picked up bad habits. That was my thing.
For me, I was always, and this is weird because most people who are quote unquote, the liked by parents, like I'm very liked by parents. Some of my friends happen to be some parents of students I've taught. A couple. Don't get crazy with that. But
No parents would like
parents, listen. Y'all don't know shit about martial arts.
I think-
unless you're a martial artist. In which case, if you suspect some shit, go off.
I think
Straight up.
one thing that bothered me most about
Because
parents
you're actually educated.
when parents left out information. So they'd be like, they wouldn't tell you if their child had a learning disability or something,
Well,
and you kind of have
most-
to guess. Here's my thing: with kids that young,
It's hard to tell.
it's harder to tell
Yeah,
because a lot of
100%.
kids they'll just sit there and like go like, and they'll make noises. Okay,
I think-
how
I
do I
think-
tell if that's schizophrenia, autism, or something else?
Of
Or
course.
besides just being a normal kid.
Because
And if I tell your kid to stop, and then they freak out and be like, he can't help it, it's
Listen.
like I did not have that information.
listen, for me is, special needs little dragon kids are a whole thing to tackle, just by themselves, right? Now, if you have an autistic child, okay, this is a person that can't function that well, especially when they're not the center of attention. What makes you think putting them in a martial arts place with 20 other kids right? With one instructor, what makes you think your child's gonna get anything out of that? Just be real, right? I know you want your little child to play costumes or whatever.
I think
maybe learn a front kick here and there, but it's foolish.
I'm gonna add this: if you want to put your autistic child, especially a little dragon or something that age, into martial arts, more power to you. Research the studios and make sure that they offer programs that cater to those needs.
Exactly. Do not just put in your kid into whatever. Very important.
Work.
Do your research. Come on, y'all. Y'all put in research on like what hamburger to buy. You know what I mean? Like what sales are going on.
Timmy can't have gluten.
Put in your research about the activities, because everybody loves to preach, oh, martial arts is great for kids. It helps their balance, their self-esteem, their strength. They learn teamwork, they learn respect, discipline. Yeah, that's all. For the most part, it's bullshit. For the most part, guess what? For the most part, that's just a marketing tactic. And nobody wants to say that, but yeah, that's what it is. Those are called trigger words, right? When you say confidence,
Mom's like, Timmy needs confidence.
Because that's, again, coming back to Mrs. Potato, and if your instructor that leads Little Dragons is a middle-aged mom, if they sound like a cheerleader, if they sound like a life coach to your child, that's really damaging for your child. You're developing a false sense of security. Especially in techniques, man. It's like, little Timmy, you're so good at front kick. I bet you can fight a black belt with that front kick. No,
it's like, hold on, I'll kill your kid.
Little Timmy would get fucking punted. That is what's gonna happen.
If your kid, I don't know. Here's
if little Timmy, you're the best listener. You're so good. And little Timmy is spinning on the ground like a fidget spinner.
I remember,
drooling on the ground.
At the end of classes, here's what they say during meditation, and that's why I got. That's why I went off. He said,
mass hypnotism, y'all.
They would say at the end, during meditation, okay? It's supposed to be silent time. If you want to put on music, whatever. And they would sit them down.
Like an instrumental
you
or
are the strongest. You are the bravest. You are the smartest. And Timmy's there fucking...
You know what it sounds like? You know what it sounds like, yo?
It's a cult.
Yeah, it is a cult. 100%. It's mass hypnosis. And it's how you grow them early. But maybe Ren won't get this reference. Maybe he will. But if any of you guys know DJ Khaled, you smart. You loyal. You the best. Like, it sounds just like that, right?
Okay, here's the thing. I want to add this.
It's false confidence. And there's nothing more damaging in this world to think you can do something and actually go and do it and find out.
That's how you die.
And find out you can't.
One thing that I like, Little Dragons, dangerous. And I remember it was only Jay that said it during a class where he brought up self-preservation to kids, where he said,
we're talking about teaching, you can't see, but I'm doing air quotes, quote unquote, self-defense, anti-bullying tactics. You know what it is, right? To kids. You've all seen it. Most of you that own schools have put on something like children's self-defense program or anti-bullying. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that
that's that whole episode in itself.
Yeah, I'm not saying that bullying is cool or maybe, just don't even work for that, don't even bother about being bullied. Just grow up, be tough, right? I'm not even saying that, right? I'm just saying that those are fundamentally flawed, right? You were
going to add about
that one also needs to add.
One thing I want to add about parents is, and it's the most important thing in my opinion.
Talk about the self-defense thing just real quick. Just finish that.
Well, just the thing about self-defense.
What I said
is
the great me,
the great Jay. These kids are taught techniques that aren't really going to work. Someone grabs your hand, and then you go, they're gonna stand still throughout the whole thing. And it's
you've all seen those it's like wrist escapes and. You know what a lot of karate people, very serious karate practitioners, they'll do bunkai, right? There's nothing wrong with bunkai. You cannot tell me that a very complex system that most adult black belts haven't even explored in depth that a 6-year-old can master.
Oh yeah.
Do not teach bunkai to kids. Do not teach what is the video we saw the other day of
martial arts pumse
pumse applications.
There we go.
Now, what is weird about that is because we all know Taekwondo is like a ripoff of karate that became its own thing, right?
It's like karate's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and these are like the pubescent. Not so right.
Frogs or something.
Frogs.
That's not even the right thing. We could have said lizards. I think those are reptiles. Anyways, what was I gonna? I lost my train of thought just now.
You were talking about Poomsae application.
Oh, so yeah. So there's these guys. We'll get on the WTF another day. But they were doing Poomsae applications. Now, for karate, a bunkai makes sense because if you know something about karate, I've only dabbled a little bit in traditional, right? From what I gather, bunkai is developed first, like that was created first, and then that developed into kata, right? In Taekwondo, it's different. The Koreans had absolutely no...
Stuff razor.
Yeah.
And we are back.
Sorry for the interruption, y'all.
A couple kids came by and screeched like geese.
Yeah, we almost got attacked by these children.
By these geese.
But luckily they were intimidated by
our Poomsae application.
So you got these people. Let me get back on that, man. Doing Poomsae applications of ridiculous moves. Everybody knows Poomsae was created for competition and to Mc Dojos style and sell people karate that's not actually karate.
Oh yeah.
And there's nothing. Listen, there's skill in Poomsae, yes, but do not put something that's not there. Another thing that links quickly to our little dragons thing, which is like the dominant topic of the show today.
Kinda.
It basically, which is it's good. I think it's an area that nobody wants to talk about and that needs discussion.
We'll flesh it out even more another day.
Of course, is like you got these You got these instructors teaching these little kids like really shitty Poomsaes and katas and what patterns. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like hiya. It's like low block, punch, turn, low block, punch. But guess what? 90% of those kids don't know what's going on. They don't know what moves they're doing. They're not listening to you. You know why? Because they don't even know how to control their own bodies. How do you expect them to memorize even 4 moves if they can't even do 1 move, right? It only makes sense, but the thing is, instructors are like, oh yeah, if I do Poomsae, I'll do it for 30 minutes and it'll look like I'm doing something productive, right? Exactly.
I wanna add this. We're talking about parents, okay? I think we fleshed out Poomsae pretty much.
It's not a significant topic.
Adding in parents. The main thing I want to bring up, and it is the most important thing to me, is if you're going to put your kid in, make sure they're potty trained.
Oh my God.
I have had experience. How many did I have? I had a kid piss his pants during meditation.
I have never had
one of our
this
friends, a child shat himself.
Shat.
That kid pooped his pants. I've had kids pee so many times. And I'm not going to clean that up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sensei Potato. I'm not cleaning that up. I'm putting that with one of the other here's how the Mc Dojos work, okay? It's a hierarchy of age. If you're older than some of the other guys, it's like young 11-year-old boy.
Clean that shit
up. And you pretend like you don't see it at first. They'll be like, what's that puddle? And it's like, what puddle?
I don't see no puddle. Oh, that's ridiculous, man. That's disgusting.
What is this?
I think
a kid vomited one time.
I feel like I might have been there for that. That was I definitely I've seen it. It's disgusting. If you are a parent,
don't bring your kid in if they're sick.
If your kid's sick,
have some mercy.
Or they don't want to be there. Let's be real. Sometimes kids just don't want to be there. Don't force them, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna make them hate martial arts because they're gonna feel like they're forced there. When I started martial arts when I was 11. Okay, I'm much older now, right? And I went to martial arts to get away from everything else, right? That was my sanctuary. You know what I'm saying? So if I was being forced in my sanctuary, it wouldn't be my sanctuary anymore, right? Don't make your kids hate martial arts. If that's your goal is to keep them there, be smart, parents, right?
Yeah. I think that's the main message of today. Is just parent the research, be smart.
Do not get fooled by these people. You know what? If you talk to the person trying to sell you something, if you walk out with a good feeling in your stomach, be careful, because that's their job.
Yeah.
Their job is to make you feel good and try to sell you a product, all right? Everybody works too damn hard to be spending your money and wasting time in something that's worthless. That's the one thing money can't buy is time.
And to finish off today's topic of Little Dragons,
Ooh.
I think it'll be fair for us, as a little bit of fun at the end, to say what was our favorite game that we played.
What was it?
There was that ball one. That was a mess.
Oh yeah, that was a mess.
What they do is they take a tub of balls. This is martial arts, guys, and they throw them out on the mats, and they'd be like, "Pick up the red balls!" And then the kids would,
so you got like a
kids
bucket.
would pick up a blue ball, and you'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing, you retard?"
Well, you got like a multicolored bucket of balls, right?
Yeah.
Like a racially sensitive bucket of balls. Yeah. And you throw them, but not too hard. And you know, you got the kids sitting down. When you say go, it's like, oh, pick up a yellow, or come sit back down and pick up this color until there's no more balls. I think that game is useful and allowed maybe once.
I think what was another game? It was like tag, and I hated playing tag with the kids.
I love playing tag. What the fuck?
I remember I like watching other people.
You can actually teach a kid to run away from playing tag. Like, that's the one thing I do, especially. Don't teach your little dragons like a super strict way. Have fun, but be productive.
It was we'll call him Sensei Cheeks, and
oh my god, we got the most powerful names.
Motorcycle Sensei Cheeks, Potato Brothers.
I think if somebody knew who we were, they know exactly all these characters.
Fucking Potato, Mr. Cheeks is listening to the podcast right now. He's like, hold up,
am I Mr. Cheeks?
I was complimented on my cheeks many times.
Bring those cheeks here, boy!
What was it? I like watching him do classes.
Oh,
and watching him play tag.
Junior black belt do classes and play tag. It was horrendous.
Alright. But I think that is all for tonight.
Yes.
I hope you will tune in next time, where we will bring more topics, more stories, and more fun. Please follow our Twitter. Support the music artist who provided his song for the beginning, end themes, and anything in between. And
remember the message of the video, right? Like, be smart. If you're a parent, think before you buy. If you're an instructor, think before you teach.
Indeed.
And start a discussion in the comment section. Have you had any negative experiences with Little Dragons programs? Have you taught Little Dragons?
And one question, comment down below, what is your experience with Little Dragon programs?
Ooh,
create a discussion.
That's actually like a deep conversation. I feel like we're about to get some horror stories.
Feel free to talk about whatever you want. Have arguments with people. Mc Dojo people, thank you for listening throughout the podcast.
We're sorry.
This has been the Black Belt Factory.
Yeah.